Today's video will complete our demonstration of how we built this model of an F-86 fighter jet in Strata 3D. In our last video, we used this diagram as a guide to build the fuselage, the wings, and the tail assembly. Now we will show how we built the canopy. The canopy has two sections. We'll start with the back. It consists of a clear acrylic bubble with a metal frame. Let's delete the metal frame for now and look at the acrylic bubble part. It is a skinned object made from these four ribs. We will make a copy of the bubble into memory and scale it up in size a little bit. This will become our metal frame. We need to make a copy of the first and last rib to use later. Use the pen region tool to make a part that will be used to cut away the part of the metal frame that we don't need. We extrude the 2D region. Position the extruded piece over the metal frame. And cut it away using Boolean subtraction. Now we take the front rib we copied earlier. Extrude it to make the front of the frame. Then make two copies of the back rib we saved. Scale the last rib to make it very small. Scale the middle rib to midway between the two others. Skin them. Position and adjust the rib placement in Edit Object. Paste the bubble back in from memory. This back part of the bubble canopy slides open and closed to allow the pilot on board. The front part of the canopy is built using the same techniques: extrude, skin, and Boolean subtraction. Look at how the side windows are made. Using four ribs made using the pen curve tool. Let's take a break from modeling and put some textures on the aircraft. We started by using our diagram to help set up the body textures. This is the bump map and the diffuse color map. The aluminum body of an F-86 can be polished mirror bright or oxidized to a dull gray. We are going to make the shiny one today because it shows the details of the texture better. There is the bump map and the diffuse color map. Apply the texture. Set to cylindrical mapping. And because our texture joins at the bottom of the aircraft, position the map by rotating it 180 degrees along the Z-axis. Our texture is positioned perfectly. Make the textures for the wings and tail the same way and apply. We used the body texture as a guide for the guns texture. The white areas of the guns texture mask are the only parts of the guns texture that will be visible. This is the guns bump map. We also use this other map in the guns texture. Here is the guns texture. This map is used for direct amount, indirect amount, reflection color, specular amount, and reflection amount maps. There is the bump map and the mask. Apply the guns texture. Set cylindrical mapping and rotate it 180 degrees. The guns texture sits perfectly over the body texture. There were many paint schemes used on the F-86 by the U.S. Air Force and several other countries that flew them. We set up textures for airplane FU-944 and FU-882 as they were painted in the Korean War. Look at how these four textures are layered on the left wing. The shiny wing texture with bump map, the insignia, the yellow stripe, and the United States Air Force on the underside of the wing. Let's look at the insignia texture for example. The diffuse color map, and this is the mask. Notice that we have turned off the specular amount, the smoothness, and the bump normal by unchecking the eyes. This allows those aspects, including the bump map from the shiny wing texture, to show up on the decals. We put the rest of the textures on like this. Now we are going to punch a hole in the fuselage to install a cockpit into. We take the main body skinned object that we made in part 1 of the video, and in the Object Properties dialog box, check the Absolute Complexity checkbox. Then convert the skinned object into a polygon group. Make a copy of the canopy and paste it into the group's window as a temporary guide to show us which polygons to remove to make way for our cockpit. We hide and reveal the temporary canopy as needed. To help see which polygons we have removed, we can add a temporary 2D rectangle and put a colored texture on it like this. Now we can see which polygons we want to delete. We ended up removing these polygons. Apply a glass texture to the bubble. Then, using pictures on the internet as a resource, we built this cockpit. We imported this man we made in Adobe Fuse as a pilot. Last, we modeled a jet air intake duct and an exhaust. And so we could show our plane on the ground, we added these landing gear. And so we have an environment to fly our planes around in. We made this spherical background. We found an interesting location in Apple Maps and took a screen capture. Then moved to the location next door and took another screen capture. Then we put the images together in Photoshop, made a copy of this left side and pasted, then flipped it horizontally and blended it in so the edge is seamless where the image wraps around the sphere. We put the image over a panoramic picture of the sky and clouds and scaled our image to create a horizon. Blended the horizon into the sky and saved as a JPEG. We went back into Strata, created a new spherical background texture, and imported the JPEG. We made the new spherical texture our visible background and reflected background. Notice how the ground is reflected on the bottom of the aircraft, while clouds and sky are reflected on the top part. If you found this tutorial helpful, send me some feedback and pictures of the F-86 you built.